What's up, guys? Welcome to the third podcast. This is going to wrap up the series of the YYC real estate group and how we got created. And I can't believe this is the third episode, Dave.
Yeah, we're on episode number 3 now.
I think we're getting a little bit more comfortable on this podcast here. So
yeah, definitely get into the groove of things a lot better.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking at the beginning, but third one in, I feel a little bit more comfortable. So let's dive in today with behind the business of being a realtor. I looked this up. There's about 5,600 realtors in Calgary. 56. And I feel like everyone knows at least
5 realtors.
5 to 10 realtors out there, right? I personally know, I don't even know how many, 20 plus realtors. And the reason we're naming this podcast, I'm Not a Realtor, is because there's, what's the right word, Dave?
There's a misconception of what it is to be a realtor.
Yeah, there's definitely a misconception of what it is to be a realtor and how realtors are. And I feel like I am not just a realtor. When people hear that term, oh, I'm a realtor, or you're a realtor, I feel like most people think we're just here to try to get a sale or something.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of them are, though. Like, a lot of people do it for work, right? But I mean, there's a difference between a good realtor and a bad realtor.
There definitely is, for sure. And what we want to talk about is what the differences are with the good and bad realtors. The reason people get such a different range of realtors, because it's so easy to get your real estate license.
Yeah, the experience is definitely different based on what the realtor's done before in the past. And if it's so easy to get the license, then you have, it's hard to thin the herd. So that's why the failure rate for it is pretty high if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's why I think getting a mentor is very critical when you're starting out and getting a lot of training. And there's 2 aspects to being a realtor. There's working on the business and there's working in the business. A lot of new realtors that come in if they don't have that mentor, it's really hard to close a deal, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you're essentially running all aspects of the company. You're on the floor doing sales. You're also doing your own marketing in the back end. You're also doing your own IT. You're also doing your own accounting. You're also doing like pretty much every aspect of a whole business as one person. So you're constantly juggling all of these job roles and then also trying to service your clients at the same time.
Trying to serve your clients, trying to get more leads, trying to work on the business, seeing how to market. There's just so many things to do as a realtor. And I feel like people don't see that. But there's actually so much behind to being a realtor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you pretty much have to play every single role and also just like juggle all of them at the same time. Because when you're super busy, it's hard to focus on the marketing or focus on the paperwork on the back end and doing all that stuff. So it's actually really tough when you're independent as a realtor. And yeah, you definitely need a lot of structure and scheduling to get all that done and done effectively.
Yeah, because there's no one, there's no boss or there's no one there to really tell you what to do.
Yeah, there's no one that has an outline for you that is keeping you accountable and to do the work. Like when you're self-employed, it's easy to work hard, but it's also easy to just like take a day off or so, just because when you're doing all those things, it gets pretty tiring and you can burn out pretty fast.
Definitely burn out fast. And then there's also days where you're like, I'm not doing anything today, but you actually are indirectly, right? Every day you are thinking about the business and trying to work on the business. What people don't realize too as realtors is we're basically working 24 hours.
Yeah, we're definitely on call. We're working essentially when our clients are off, which is evenings and weekends.
Yeah, like for example, this weekend doing showings all Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, looking at like 10 properties, right? And then people, I feel, don't see that. They might just see that glimpse that he's only working that weekend, but just to even get that going takes a lot of work
Yeah.
to book the showings, to contact the realtors, now with all this COVID, all the documents and all the forms, and it's like a lot of work before the work also.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the leads that come in, they come in on a month. It could take months for them to even want to step out and take a look at properties. So it actually takes a lot of time just nurturing clients before we even get to that point. So one transaction could take months. It could take years before someone is actually ready to list or to buy as well.
For sure. So when we're talking about being a realtor and being behind the business, I want to I I want to talk about why we are not all the same. When we do listing presentations, one of the questions we get is, why can't I use this person, or what makes you different? So what do you think makes us realtors all different? 5,600 realtors, I think a lot of them also are part-time,
Yeah.
and it's not their full-time job. What do you think, Dave, the biggest thing for us is what sets us different from other realtors?
I think just the experience of like before we got into real estate, that really helps us. And then what else? Just like the technology that we used on the back end to create these like listing presentations, and just understanding and knowing your market. Like we do a lot of research outside of that, just so that we have the knowledge to back what we're going against, right? So I think it just comes down to how obsessed you are in the business, and if you're kind of just in it partially, and you're not committed to fully focus in being in real estate, then it's going to be harder for someone new that's coming in.
And I think dealing with hard situations, and how you deal with them as a realtor, that's a huge difference, because we've all dealt with, even for us, there's a lot of realtors that we don't like to deal with, right? There's deals that we're in and we're like, oh my God, we're going against this right now. I find a lot of, I find it's the realtors you work with also will help you close the deal. And if
Yeah.
they're not on that same page, that we're all a team, and it's like, hey, we're working together, not against each other, that's what makes a good realtor also.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end of the day, we are just arbitrators for our clients, whether you're on the buyer or seller side. And we're just trying to come to a common or mutual ground between the sellers and buyers. And we are supposed to be impartial to that, and let the buyers and sellers make those decisions based on our advice. And that's all. But a lot of people get pretty emotional in it, and it's hard to say why, but yeah, like you come across a lot of very emotional transactions, and it really convolutes the negotiations.
I think that definitely helps the sale when the two realtors are working together.
Yeah, exactly.
When they are working together, helping each other versus against each other, that could be the difference between a deal closing and a not closing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've had it where I'm like, man, I don't even want to work with you anymore, because like you're making this a bigger issue than what it is, and I think you're projecting that on your sellers or buyers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, we don't even want to work with you because you're just making this so difficult.
Yeah.
You know?
And I find that sometimes, like, if that's the case, you almost need to take the lead for the whole transaction, because you need to set the standard based on facts with the other realtor. And then once they start understanding that themselves, then we can kind of get back into the same place where we're at that common ground again, and we can work on the negotiations.
Yeah, and with the negotiations, I definitely feel like you're negotiating with everyone. Right?
Yeah. You're literally talking to your client, then talking to the other realtor, and then telling them like what's going to go on. Like you're literally essentially taking the lead on the whole transaction.
Even with the lawyer sometimes, even with the home inspector,
Yeah.
the appraiser,
The mortgage broker.
the mortgage broker, even sometimes when there's a tenant in there, you're
Yeah.
dealing with the tenant, right? So I feel like you got to really work on your negotiation skills and your craft on how to deal with all these people. And I think that's what sets you apart and will help you move further in the real estate business to grow your business.
Yeah. It's the difference between closing a deal and not closing a deal.
Totally, totally. It could be a simple conversation that mitigates it or escalates it. And you're always trying to mitigate it. As a realtor, I always feel like we're solving a problem. Like no one else is going to do it except us.
Yeah, for sure. I
Right.
feel like just the arbitration of it almost feels like you're a lawyer or something.
It does, for sure. Another part of this podcast is we wanted to talk about the top three myths about being a realtor. So we actually Googled them, to see what people thought about us. And the first one we kind of talked about is we are all the same. What do you think, Dave? Are we all the same or?
I think the basis of what a realtor knows is all the same because we all take the same course, we go through the same training, or not. I guess not all the same training, but we go through the same course that is outlined for us through like our real estate board. But we're definitely not all the same, just because the experience of every realtor is based on like maybe work history or their own personal experiences in real estate. If they've came from like a corporate job or something like that. Like there's so many different things that shape the character of a real estate agent. And that's just based on how they've lived their life in the past and what they bring in for the future of that business. So there's definitely not the same realtors.
Yeah. Experience is there also, but it isn't. I feel the enthusiasm that you have about real estate also impacts yourself as a real estate agent, right? I was very enthusiastic when I first got my real estate license and I had zero experience, but I knew what I wanted to accomplish, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the servicing of how you want to service your client also makes it very different, right? Makes it different amongst the realtors, right? Because some people don't want to be full-time realtors and some people do. Some just want to get a couple deals a year and then they're happy, right?
Yeah. Like some of them work almost as a side business and they kind of do it on the weekends and evenings after their normal day job. And yeah, it's pretty tough doing that. And especially to fully service your clients, unless you're sitting at a computer and have that time to do that while you're at work. As a full-time realtor, it's definitely a grind and a hustle. Like you need to have that mentality, and you also need to have pretty good discipline to like have the structure to actually do the deals effectively and service your clients fully as well.
It's the value you provide before closing and even after. That's also the training. There's a lot of real estate training courses, depending if you've taken it or not and how you structure your business and whatever. There's so many things that just we all can't be the same. There's 5,600 realtors. So I think I read somewhere only 20% of them are doing 80% of the deals.
Yeah, exactly. The 20/80 rule.
Yeah. So it's how serious you are in business and who you want to represent you when you are buying and selling. And I think it's very good for a buyer or seller to interview other realtors to see actually which is best fit for them. We asked that too, is like, are you interviewing any other realtors? And I know we've turned down some deals because we felt like it wasn't a good fit for us also.
Yeah, exactly. Like you definitely have to be like constantly analyzing things and seeing where it's at with the client, because if it's not a good fit, then like it'll be like that through the whole transaction. So you kind of have to know what you're getting into, and getting a feel for it, because if the client is feeling anything before that, it'll translate into the transaction the whole way. So we definitely have to mitigate that.
I hope that answers those people out there wondering if we're all the same.
Yes, we are not.
We aren't the same. I'm not a realtor, guys. Biggest myth is realtors make a boatload of money.
Yeah.
Ton of money just everywhere. I think this is I think this is the biggest myth.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you can.
you definitely can. And we have. And we also haven't. Right? And people see it like, oh, this is how much we're making per deal, per commission. But they don't also see our real estate expenses.
Yeah.
You know?
On a yearly, like annually, monthly basis as well.
What your monthly cost is just to be a realtor at your brokerage, depending on which brokerage you're at.
Yeah, it's almost like a small mortgage that you're paying to even practice in real estate. So if you aren't closing deals, then you're essentially out of pocket every month. So that's why it's definitely a grind to get those deals done, but it's also a high overhead.
And also, each transaction is different. Some are easy, some are harder. And I think the real estate gods makes it balanced out. Some deals, like some buyers, you might be showing them 50 plus properties. Mm-hmm. Some listings might take a year to sell. Some deals might be sold the next day, and some might, take a year. I feel like it all balances out, and you definitely can make a lot of money in real estate, but there are months there also where you might not close a deal.
Yeah.
Right?
The real estate comes in high and low seasons, and it's really dependent on the market, which is like something that we cannot control. And we find that in Calgary, there's a lot of boom and bust from oil and gas. So like you can't really predict the trends of what's going to happen, but the only thing that you can really do is adapt and also stay consistent with the work, because over time, that's what will keep you going. And that's what essentially separates you from the rest is like understanding yourself, just being committed to what you do. And it's not about the money. It's about the service that you're offering your clients. And once they see that, it'll translate more. But a lot of people don't see that.
Yeah, I feel like it's never about the money. It's never about the money for us. It's literally about serving the client and getting them to their next chapter in life, whether it be selling or buying or investing, right? Mm-hmm. The money comes when you just do that.
Yeah.
Right? When you have no ulterior, what do you say it?
Ulterior motives.
Yeah. That's literally what we're just trying to do.
Yeah. Because like when the client is happy and the deal is done and, they're happy with the property, then they'll talk about it. And when they talk about it, that's when more business comes. So you got to keep the flow going with the clients and also maintaining service, even if it's like anything goes wrong with it. Like you always got to convert that negative to a positive, because people will remember how you make them feel. And if it ends negatively, then they're going to carry that with them. And they say that the average person knows about 250 people. So if they have a negative experience with it, then they will tell like everybody. But if they have a good experience with it, they'll also tell everybody.
I hope that answers your question about making boatloads of money. There's also one thing I just want to say also is you can if you put in the work.
Yeah.
There's also, you also cannot if you don't put in the work too, right?
Yeah. I think that's just like any business. You just have to put in that work and get it done. And if you don't, then like it'll translate.
Next question or next myth we want to bust is real estate is easy.
Yeah. It's definitely not.
It is definitely not easy. It is it is a jungle out there, man. We're in the jungle, I feel, every time we're hitting
Yeah.
the road and doing real estate. Every day pretty much, right?
It would be easier if the cost of real estate wasn't as expensive. Like when you're buying a home, it's the largest purchase that you'll probably make in your life. And not a lot of people can do that. So, I mean, if you're selling like a dollar hamburger, you could probably sell that to a lot more people than you could sell $1 million home to, or even a $500,000 home. So it's not as easy as people think it is, and it's a grind. Like if you don't have that grind mentality, you're not willing to put in that work, then like you won't make it in real estate.
Yeah, because we do have a lot of friends and people that we talk to, and they do ask about being a realtor. And I say the same thing. Yeah, do it, but just prepare yourself,
Yeah.
right? Because it is definitely a grind.
Like I would say try it out and see, but also have a mentor or have some people that are willing to support you in a way where you can succeed. So I think that's the most important thing.
And definitely being a realtor and being part of the transaction and of the buying or selling and making that happen. And I feel like most realtors feel this too, that there's still a responsibility after the deal closes. It's crazy. Like even when the deal is done, they take over, you know, something could come up 6 months and you still feel a little bit responsible
Yeah.
as a realtor that you should have caught that, or you know, okay, now I got to still help and serve, right? And I think that's the ongoing service, that it doesn't end on closing date. The service definitely keeps going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. Like you have an obligation to your client for them to feel good about their purchase, and like that service continues even after the transaction is done. And I feel like that's the difference between being transactional and being relational with your clients. Like we're essentially full service, and we're on call whenever our clients need us. So if there's a problem, then we solve it.
One thing you just said was
Relational.
relational or transactional.
Yeah.
And what Dave means by that is our business is really relational, where we get referrals from our previous clients and we do serve them long term.
Yeah.
Transactional is like you just want to get the deal done and then you're out. And you know,
You never hear
call
from them
that
again.
Yeah, you never hear from that realtor again, right? And I feel like that's something me and Dave try not to be. And it is that's the grind, right? Where to keep that relationship ongoing after the deal closes. Because that's also sets us different from other agents. Right?
100%.
Bottom line, is real estate easy? No.
Not really. Yeah.
You gotta love it.
Yeah.
I feel like you gotta love it to be in it, and you gotta think long term. Long term is the way to look at it.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that you have to be committed to, and it's something that you have to enjoy every day, because if you're not about that and not willing to put in that work, then it's like nothing's going to be easy. Like I feel like that's anything in life. Like if you want something easy, then it's likely not going to be good. Yeah, so I think that kind of breaks down the three top myths of what it's like to be a realtor.
Yeah, I think we kind of they kind of understand now what it's like to be a realtor for us.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's also stressful, and I think that people don't see the struggle to get to where you actually are to succeed. Like it takes time, and And that's why
A lot of structures, and a lot of learning.
yeah, and that's why the failure rate of it is quite high as well too, because if you're not self-disciplined and not self-motivated, then it's very tough. Like it's not like a 9 to 5 job.
And your attitude has to be good about it. Going into real estate, you gotta have a positive attitude
Yeah,
about everything
for sure.
because so much happens in a deal
Yeah,
that isn't positive.
there's a lot of ups and downs,
Yeah.
and like you can't count your chickens until they hatch, because deals fall apart in the last minute all the time. So you kind of have to be prepared for that and not have to rely on that transaction, because that's where a lot of
Stress,
not stress, it's like
a lot of
disappointments. Like if you have like really high expectations with everything, then you'll actually deal with a lot of disappointments with the transaction as well too, because there's so many things that could cause a transaction to collapse. And if you're relying on that deal and it collapses, you'll have a lot of disappointment. So I think that's something that you need to do, is just manage your own feelings as well, because it's not done until it's done.
yeah. That's one thing I've learned is like it's definitely not done till you've been paid.
Yeah.
Like it's not even done after that, but
Yeah,
like
'cause-
until you've gotten paid, that's when the deal is done.
Yeah, because even then, like sometimes there's issues with you getting paid. Like
Oh yeah,
like
sometimes with
realtors know, like there's things that can happen with the transaction even when it's completely done, that you might not even get paid for a few months.
Yeah.
Even after the fact, just because delays with the builder or something like that. Like there's so many factors that can cause things. So you have to have a good plan and also prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Structures. I would say what I've learned, creating structures for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right. Like yourself as an entrepreneur, just creating that structures. And one advice I want to just say to all the realtors that are listening, just is, I think right now too, and where the future is going is, you cannot just be a realtor. I feel like you need to expand, and I feel you need to expand maybe in property management, in Airbnbs, or have something else as another source of income or passive income. Because just to be a realtor alone, unless you're killing it,
It's not enough.
it isn't enough, right? And who knows if realtors will even exist in 20, 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. I find that like when I have a conversation with somebody, I never say that I'm a realtor. I just say that I'm in real estate, because I'm so diversified in it that it would be an understatement to just say that I'm a realtor. I'm actually like involved in a lot of real estate related businesses. So
Absolutely. And I think that's why we're naming this title, I'm Not a Realtor.
yeah, exactly.
Good way to end it, Dave. Good way to end it. I guess that will wrap it up. We're not realtors.
Yeah, we're in real estate.
We're in real estate. Yeah, we'll wrap it up with that. And the next podcast, I'm actually so excited for. I've had multiple conversations with him, and it's gonna be a conversation with my dad, because my dad is actually an entrepreneur, and I actually want to hear his story and let him share his life and his experiences, because I feel like he has a really good life.
Yeah.
And that will be going out probably around Father's Day.
Yeah, it'll be a Father's Day podcast.
It will be a Father's Day podcast. So I'm excited for that. Thanks for listening, guys. I just want to say this too. We really appreciate the listeners. It means a lot to us. So we hope you guys keep listening. And
That is all.
that is all.
Thanks, guys.